You're hearing me, but you're not feeling me.
We're hitting nothing but dingers here.
Boy, crikey, that's a great point.
Welcome to the Weekly Chaos. We are coming to you at the speed of sound from the Hexapod Soundhouse in Cleveland, Ohio. I am Nick.
I am Luke.
And I'm DJ Worldwide.
Big shout out to our returning listeners and a koi hello to our new friends. Weekly Chaos is a headline news show that's all about variety, being eclectic, seeing the world from different angles. We don't know where we're going, but we know we'll get there faster than you can say.
Follow us on Instagram at Velocity Chaos Pod, Twitter at Velocity Chaos PN, on Facebook. Also drop us some stars on Apple Podcasts, some love on Spotify. Leave us a review and send it to download. Also, toss us a sub on YouTube. Thank you as always for your support. Let's go!
All right. It is time for the weekend box office report hosted by the Weekly Chaos. Here we go. Top 5 grossing films across April 7th through the 9th. The Super Mario Bros. Movie breaks bricks and tosses down a few hammers with $146 million in its opening weekend. It's a Nintendo. Number 2, John Wick Chapter 4 kick punches the competition in week 3 to keep its spot at number 2. Cumulative to date is $147 million. Number 3, Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves goes for another campaign in week 2 for another $14.5 million. It's scraping back what it can as the box office rolls into a heated spring track. Number 4, Air, the story of Nike and Air Jordans slammed home an alley-oop after a strong previews in its first week. All things accounted for, it grossed $20 million in its first week. See if it can hold from here. And number 5, speaking of sticking around to haunt our show, Scream 6 scraped out another $3.3 million to hold on to the top 5. It did it. It broke $100 million.
Wow.
There you go. And honorable mentions this week, the film Paint, the fictional Bob Ross movie starring Owen Wilson, opened $750,000 for IFC Films. And How to Blow Up a Pipeline did $120,000 for Neon on 12 screens. So that's a great PTA. I expect it to expand. Neon's, that's kind of its specialty release. That's a really cool like eco thriller where these young like environmentalists decide to go and just like blow up a pipeline in like the northern US or maybe Canada. But they essentially made an action environmental movie, which I thought was really clever.
That's going to solve the problem.
Yeah. Oil everywhere. All right, so let's get into it. Just to jump right in, just to tack off of the movie section, Hollywood Reporter put out this week its top 50 films of the 2020s, or really the 2000s, I should say at this point, the last 21 years. They did not include 2022 just because everything's so fresh in their minds. So a bunch of the writers and the critics over there participated. I give them a lot of credit because they used the system. It wasn't a free-for-all, and they were really honest about it. They were honest with their opinions. They were honest about their shortcomings in the list, but they did a really good job, and it's something fun to talk about. Everybody, the way it worked, everybody submitted movies. They whittled it down to about 80 movies by voting yes or no, thumbs up, thumbs down, and then that's when they got to the 80 movies. Those 80 films, they then scored 0 to 3 and whittled it down with a few bickering Zoom calls from there down to their 50. They wanted to be very clear that they were open and honest that there are filmmaking masters who are not on their list. I'm going to speed read through these that are not on their list. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, boy.
Clint Eastwood, Steven Spielberg, Martin Scorsese, Terrence Malick, Spike Lee, Gus Van Sant, Jean-Luc Godard, David Cronenberg, Michael Mann, Quentin Tarantino, Steven Soderbergh, Alexander Payne, Jim Jarmusch, James Gray, Janki, Abbas Kiarostami, Jafar Panahi, Asghar Farhadi, Apika Tapong, Weerasthakul. Wow, I didn't even read that earlier. I should have. And Hu Xiao Xian. And that's crazy. Notable films on the list. Again, speed reading: Black Panther, Bridesmaids, Pan's Labyrinth, Summer of Soul, Children of Men, Social Network, Manchester by the Sea, Y Tu Mama También, Parasite, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and Power of the Dog, as well as WALL-E and Moonlight, all made the top 50. The top 10, I'm going to speed read them one more time. Get Out, 2017, 4 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days in 2007, In the Mood for Love in 2000, Brokeback Mountain in 2005, Spirited Away in 2001, Mulholland Drive in 2001, Zodiac 2007, The Gleaners and I 2000, Inside Llewyn Davis 2013, and Yeah 2000. It's YIYI, that film.
Nah, that's do people even watch these movies? There's no Cool Runnings, there's no Three Ninjas, there's no basketball, there's no Wayne's World. Like I don't understand these people. Do they understand what entertainment is in pure movie magic is. I don't
They at least understand the rules of their system. It was all 2000 films, so
Yeah.
Cool Runnings is 93.
Yeah, all those are old movies. So I don't understand it,
Yeah, got it.
but they should be on there.
I think Cool Running should be up there too. Yeah, that's just like defies all the ages. Doesn't matter. I don't know. Those are some good picks. I'm a big Inside Llewyn Davis fan. I do like that film. That's a slow burner for all yous out there. It's not a lot of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but you know.
I want to post this section on here to see if there's other comments on here. There's going to be a lot of people who are pissed that there's no Marvel films. Black Panther's in there. Black Panther, I did note, it's in the top 50. It's just not in the top 10. And then Get Out was it number?
What was the metric?
Number 10.
They based
It was
it off.
number
It was money wise or just popularity, just best movie.
It was just their favorites.
What they like.
It was their favorites.
Their
So
favorite flavors.
their favorite flavors. And it was cool. I give them a lot of credit. They were like, look, this is not the definitive list. We know this is biased from our own upbringings. So I give them credit for being honest about it out there.
Yeah, no 90s movies. I don't like it. For their list of 2000s to recent or whatever it was exactly. But on to the next thing. We were talking about videos or movies. Let's go on to video games. We're heading to the next era of Counterstrike this summer. Counterstrike was one of the first-person shooter games out there in the realm. It first launched in 1999 on what do you call it? Microsoft, all that good stuff, Steam, all that bad stuff. But this is a new era of Counter-Strike this summer. Counter-Strike 2 is the largest technical leap forward in Counter-Strike's history, ensuring new features and updates for years to come. The game changer that we're seeing first is the smoke grenades. They're interactive with the environment and the light, and just watching some of the videos about it, like you could throw a HE grenade, explosive grenade, inside the smoke grenade and it'll dissipate. And then it'll still come out of the canister, so you can use it tactically, or you can shoot bullets through it. It'll create little windows of like air puffs, so like you can use the smoke to your advantage, or shoot through it and actually see stuff. So that's really cool. They're updating all the maps. They're making them cleaner, brighter, better. So they're overhauling all the textures and everything. It's gonna be easier to see, more realistic, high def VFX, all that good stuff, and accurate audio. That's a huge thing, is having accurate audio in these first person shooter games.
I was gonna say that's gnarly because we always talk about the AI and the VR stuff. So I'm excited for when VR gets to we can mesh up that to these games. Like you said, you're gonna be there at some point. All you need is a haptic suit, and you're gonna hear bullets, and you have your headphones on, and be like by your head. Like I'm stoked. It makes it intense, man.
I agree. It's going to be really cool. We talked a little bit about some of the games coming out and the surface modifications when you damage something. So that's going to be cool to see the smoke actually interactive. I think it makes a lot of sense that Counter-Strike, which is one of the biggest platforms for competitive gaming right now, is upgrading. And probably this is going to be the NFL, right? This is going to be the big time, the big show. And actually, you mentioned VR, but also AI. They're starting to use AI to help with certain lights and certain lighting things that is being fixed in game. Cool. So AI is looking at the smoke, seeing a bullet go through it, and in the moment, computing all of that right there. So I can only imagine that they're trying to tack on as much as they can by the summer. Yeah. I mean, the crunch is probably unreal, but hey, that's going to be a total game changer. No pun intended.
Well, keeping it in a game world, but just a different kind of game. You guys know I'm a hockey freak. The NCAA just had their Frozen Four championships come to a close this past weekend with Quinnipiac University. Try saying that 5 times.
Yeah, wow.
Quinnipiac University just won the Frozen Four and took home a national championship for the first time in the entire school's history of any sport.
Cool.
So, yeah, Quinnipiac is in Hamden, Connecticut, if I'm correct, because I'd looked that one up. The Bobcats, they beat the Minnesota Gophers in an overtime game, no less, 3-2. It was phenomenal hockey. If any kind of playoff hockey is amazing, and these guys were playing lights out. I have to pull up a couple of my stats here because they pulled out the overtime win, and they beat Minnesota. In the first period, the Gophers went one goal against. In the second period, the Gophers scored again, but Quinnipiac came back with a backdoor goal. It was righteous. I mean, the way these guys play with the traffic in front of the net is intense. Honorable mention to goalie Justin Close. Shout out my fellow goalie. He played lights out for Minnesota, but couldn't do it. They came back in the overtime, and within 10 seconds of the overtime, went deep in the zone and made a backdoor pass to Jacob Gillian, who scored the winning goal. I mean, it was amazing. So, like I said, if you haven't watched watched playoff hockey, especially college playoff hockey, it's amazing.
So it's intense stuff. Yeah. It's, like you said, there's just these moments that are created, and these. Okay, I'll give it to you. Sometimes the college athletes, they play a little harder than what you see in professionals. But yeah, I want to watch the best of the world's going at it. Not these kids that are getting whatever. But you can see some still great gameplay.
Sounds like the Gophers had some backdoor problems. They really need to get that checked. But I agree with Luke a lot about this, that when you're a small little school and you find yourself in March Madness in the Final Four in the championship bracket, you just say to yourself, it's going to be balls to the walls, all in, and kind of maybe, and especially in hockey, get a little frisky about it. Might be like a little more elbow, a little more getting in there, getting it done. And I think that's where sports are really made, obviously with certain things changing for the NCAA and likeness and all of that, and players getting paid in college. It's going to change that a little bit, but there's still that pride factor of being from a small little school that I can't even pronounce to winning a championship and never being able to forget how cool that was. So good for them. Good for them.
Well, Quinnipiac.
Quinnipiac. Cool. Keeping it in sports, guys. The Dallas Mavericks were eliminated from the NBA playoff contention, and then they were investigated. This is kind of a wild story that I thought was really interesting. I could shout out our Cavs. They're in. They're going to go up against the Knicks. It's going to be fun. It's going to be rock solid. And essentially, the Mavericks lost to the Chicago Bulls, and that broke a tie actually between those two teams. They were both vying for draft capital spots, and they were tied. And so the loser was going to get a better draft position. And this is kind of crazy because it's coming off a lot of controversy between Luka Doncic and our boy Kyrie Irving. Their chemistry is not there. It's not working. Kyrie and him are not on the same page. And Luka has been very expressive with his frustration, as he should be. He's one of the best players in the league. And I get it. Kyrie won a winning shot for us. So there's I'm like, my boy. But at the same time, Kyrie's Kyrie. And he's been kind of shopped from different teams. Luka's on his first year of a 5-year, $215 million contract. And so the Mavs are like, oh no, like if we start to have trouble in paradise, this is really going to go south for us as a franchise. Mark Cuban, the owner of the Mavs, was confident after the loss, and things are going to smooth out. And Tim McMahon of ESPN caught up with him, and Cuban said of Luka Doncic, he'd like to be here the whole time. But we've got to earn that. So it's like, yeah, you do, $250 million. And just to explain it one more, just another depth of the layer, because they tanked the game essentially because they sat Luka after the first quarter. He scored once in the second, and then he was out, as well as Kyrie and a bunch of other starters. And that's why the NBA, right after Mark Cuban made the statement, said, we're going to open an investigation into tanking with the Dallas Mavericks. And in a great article, David Aldridge at The Athletic, he kind of breaks everything down of how OKC was actually, they were half game behind OKC. So if they had won their last two games, the Dallas Mavericks, and OKC lost their last game, then the Mavs would have been in the play-in, which is that new system that they have to play into the playoffs. So they would have been the 10th seed. But they just said, look, rather than getting the brakes beat off us going into just a game that's stacked against us, we're just going to tank out of this game and get draft capital against an opponent. And I'm tying it up here, but like on one side, I see the franchise signaling to Luka, look, we're going to commit to getting more draft capital to build around you, so stay. But on the other hand, it adds insult to injury to a culture that's already kind of frosting over. So what do you guys think about this tanking kind of going on in the NBA and the regulation behind it?
I dislike that very much so. It's not my thing, but I see what they're doing. I know that how do you go into that? Like, one, you got to think about the fans. I suppose
they were home crowd. I should
exactly.
Say
it's a home crowd. How you that's like an all-star game move. I'm just going to score a basket and go off to the side. The other thing I heard that this is the first time since 1980-1981 season that no team from Texas made the playoffs. So the Rockets, the Spurs, or the Mavericks didn't make the playoffs this year. Wow. But it's just, in basketball, you're not getting a good player unless you're getting maybe top 3, possibly top 5. So it's like, unless you're down there, like, does tanking really matter? I guess it is a lottery. So we'll see.
That's fair. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of basketball knowledge to stand by, but as far as athletically speaking, I think that's a frustrating space to be in. You know, I come from a world athletically where it's you try balls out hard as you can all the time. So, like you said, it's disappointing. It's disappointing from a fan perspective. And then, I mean, again, I think basketball has an interesting culture where, you know, and we've seen it here in Cleveland. You try to build these dream teams. Everyone tries to build teams around their players. That's fine. But again, I think that takes away from the athleticism of the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you can't, you know, when you're saying, oh, well, we're just relying on all-stars, what does that say to the rest of your team? Says, we don't really think you guys can get it done. I don't know. It takes the sport out of it. So I'm not for it. I'm not excited. Plus, me and Kyrie, you know, he was cool for a minute. I don't. Yeah, there's something about he's got that squirrely eye. There's something wrong with that guy. I don't know.
You didn't have a moment at the Indians game with him cracking a beer and chugging it in front of the crowd.
Yeah, you know it. You know what we're talking about.
You know who we're talking about. No, I think you're right. One last thing on that. I think you're right, and the Cavs are proving that. Just because I got to shout out the guys. Like, that's a team. That's a squad. Yeah. Everybody pulls, and it's down the line. And yeah, you build your super teams, but you're seeing that just because you have two super players, it doesn't mean that they are gelling in a way that can get it done. It didn't work out in New York with the Nets. It's not working in Dallas. I think you got to build that culture, and then you got to ride that to the championship at this point.
I could go on for a while on the Donovan Mitchell thing. I was upset at first, but damn, I love him. He's such a good, hard-nosed player and really works it. Like, you know who else is hard-nosed? Disc golfer. Calvin Heimberg makes the top 3 again on the podium. Hasn't missed the podium once this season, which is incredible with this kind of field out there at the Disc Golf Pro Tour Music City Open. Let's just check in the FPO. Kristen Tard ranked number 1. She pulled it home with an awesome final day. She was a little back of the leader on the final round, and she just shot 7 down and won by 5 strokes. Just turned it on day 3. So that was impressive. And then over to MPO, the Mixed Professional Open. Simon Lizotte, the German boy, little German boy coming over. He's been in America so long, but he shot an impressive 11 down on the final day. Kind of similar situation. He won from the chase card, which that happened earlier in the season. Someone else won from the chase card. And the impressive thing that he did on this last round is he consecutively birdied the last 8 holes, which is insane to think of on this course where on day 1, the best round was -7. So, I mean, it's weather dependent, but he just, you know, felt it that day in going through the round. He's like, I didn't even know I was in contention for winning until I realized it was like, you know, hole 15. So, I'm in it. I guess I should try to win this. and that's not the first time that happened to him, because he is actually now, with this being his second time winning from the chase card, which is, so lead card is the top 4 people going into the final day. Chase card's the next 4. It puts him in good company of 11-time world champion Ken Climo and 6-time world champion Paul McBeth as the only 3 players to win a major while not starting the final day on the lead card 2 times. So they've each done it twice coming from the chase card. That's just incredible to me.
Yeah. I think this is cool because even in the Masters of golf with the ball, Rahm just won the Masters over the weekend, and he had to play 30 holes on Sunday because of weather conditions. And I think the cool thing is I think it was 30, but it was like an insane amount. And the cool thing is that once you're just in it and you're grinding and you're in flow state, you're just going. And I think that's what's happening with these chase cards, where they're not worried about the status of being in the lead in the Champions card. What's it called? The top
chase card, lead card.
Lead card. So they're not worried about the lead card. So they're just playing. They're in flow state, and then all of a sudden they go on a run like that, and all of a sudden, I think this is going to be cool. I like that dynamic in disc golf, and I think it's going to play out to make the sport unique.
I'm still waiting on our T-shirts for Kristen to come in so we can go hit the Open. I hear disc golf's year round these days. You're telling me, so I'm getting ready.
Kristen's a big name.
Looks like you don't get a T-shirt until you actually play the game, DJ. Guys, we're just going to keep it one more sports section here, and I think this is an important one because it marks the special occasion and a send-off to somebody big. John Elway is officially out of football. Yeah, big, nice, salute there. But Mr. Elway, consulting contract with the organization that has been a part of his it just expired, this final step in his agreement with them. He's been with the Broncos for 40 years over time, different capacities as a player, as a GM, as many different things. And he started his career in 83, and then he was a quarterback for 15 years in Denver, which was just nuts. And then GM 2011 through 2020, and inducted into the Hall of Fame in 04. So it's just really cool to see somebody like that stick around, manage, and kind of guide an organization all the way through. And he was a huge presence, obviously, when Peyton was there and won the Super Bowl, and he was around as kind of that manager capacity. So big part of football in general, let alone big part of the Denver Broncos. And I just got to say, we'll see, though. I can't say that he's leaving Denver in great shape, and it's not his fault. But, like Sean Payton, hopefully he can right the ship. But Russell Wilson's performance last year was tough. They did fire his private quarterbacks coach, which ended up being the quarterbacks coach for the Broncos. And they hired a 28-year-old guy who came in, is now going to be right under Sean Payton to try to get that quarterback room shipshape for a new season. So Russ be hustling, you know.
John Elway is one of those cats. Again, you talk about me not having the deepest sports knowledge, but a name that has been around forever. And when you reach legendary status like that, and then you can step away, just make the decision to step away from the game. You're talking about he's not leaving something in great shape, but let's be honest, in the grand scheme of life here, I didn't leave my professional NFL organization in great shape. Cool, I'll be in Bora Bora. I don't really have In the grand scheme of things, you're doing a lot better than us, John. Keep it up. You can ditch the blue and orange now. You're doing fine.
Nice.
I just got one thing to say about John Elway. Screw you, John Elway. I'm not going to forget the drive in 1987 where you drove 98 yards over 15 plays of 5 minutes and 2 seconds to beat the Cleveland Browns. I'm not going to forget. Screw you, John Elway.
He takes his salute back. He's just grabbed it out of the air, puts it in his pocket. You don't get one of those.
Well, Luke's not the only one that's angry. I'll tell you who else is angry. Passengers of Air China are angry. And I don't know if you guys have ever flown Air China, but these guys are cranky buggers right now because have you guys ever been on a delayed flight? And I'm going to ask you, have you ever been on a delayed flight?
Yes.
No. Well, the passengers of Air China had a 90-minute delay because some passengers decided they were going to leave their phone at the terminal. And I love this article because I read the title of the article and it said the flight was delayed 90 minutes. I was like, well, why is this flight delayed 90 minutes? It's got to be something on the runway, something like that. No, a passenger left their phone at the terminal. So Air China flight CA1550 turned around, went back to the terminal for another 30 minutes so that passenger could get their phone. Now, Air China is fielding tons of complaints, one from the passengers, but what I found interesting about this article was they got a complaint from the person who left their phone at the terminal. And they're continuing to submit claims to Air China saying I'm reporting these claims back to Air China through the relevant authorities because I'm upset with how the team handled it. Okay. So that's what's going on over at Air China, and I have my strong opinions. I'm going to let you guys take it away in a second, but they came out publicly and said, hey, we apologize to our crew. This is not typically how we handle things, but there's the Chinese air authorities have specific rules about how you can't photograph on planes, things like that. There's privacy rules that you can handle, but they're fielding all these complaints. And the fact that they're getting them from both sides, including the people that put their phone down, is mind-boggling. So
I got a blazing take on this of just what row is the cutoff? Is it the first 10 where if you are after row 10 and I forgot my phone, too bad, sucker. And then anybody at 10 up is like, all right, turn it around, Mr. Guy has his left his phone, row 8 seat B, it's sorry, it's policy.
I don't agree with it at all. Unless it was first class, then yes, they can do anything they want. So that makes sense. But no, this is a situation where it's not what's good for one person is good for everyone. Let's just say there's 99 other people, probably more, 99 other people that are affected by this, and other flights that are delayed. It's not just this one that's using the tarmac and everything. No, this is the problem of someone say, I want this. They could have called the terminal and been like, hey, the phone is in the lobby, wherever, I don't know, whatever happens in an airport, but send it on its way. It'll be here by morning.
Send it on its way.
Yeah.
The best part was too that the police ended up arriving because nobody told the flight attendants what was going on, so the flight attendants had to manage a crowd of people and just be like, well, we're just back here. So people were actively getting off the plane and just quitting their flight. So.
I believe Karen in Mandarin is pronounced Kai Lun. Well, just a little more pop news and people getting pissed. Motley Crue is having some trouble internally. Surprise, surprise is what I have to say. But these bad boys are being bad towards each other now. Mick Mars is suing the band as his ankylosing spondylitis has gotten him to the point where he can't tour anymore. It's something that affects the spine and the lower back. He's had it for his whole life. He's done his best he can to tour up until this point. And he said that he would be willing to record and do residencies just to keep hanging out with the band and to continue to kind of like pull his weight. And so I give him credit for trying to stay in the game. I mean, he's 71 years old. Come on. It's just like, come on, Mick. Like, it's time to give it up. But at the same time, I feel bad. Like, they're trying to cut him out, it seems like almost completely. But he's saying, like, I'm thinking that he should get something like a pension, right? Like, you founded the band, you're a founding member, you should get something. But at the same time, he's asking for like 25% of the revenue from everything the band generates. And he wants them to reveal, all the other bandmates to like reveal their financials and become a big thing. And so he's kind of just dragging ass around to try to just stink up the place. And but he did fire a shot across the bow, and he's like, what does it matter? I'm the only one who plays live on the last tour anyway. So he called him out big time. But I'm like, how does Tommy Lee not play live if he's got the giant drum set? He's just up there like hitting like plastic,
little rubber,
like rubber freaking cymbals that are just
play a rock band.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, Motley Crue definitely cannot be going on as we know it, but may have trouble going on at all. I just think that's funny for one of the most dramatic rock bands in recent history.
Yeah. No, he should. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Maybe a small percentage of total income, revenue, whatever. Yeah. Records or movie stuff or soundtrack stuff or radio plays. Okay. You can get your quarter. Okay, that works. But anything from touring at this point, if you're not there, you're not putting in the work. You're not getting a quarter of the pie. You get a little sliver just to be nice. That's about it. I'm sorry your body's breaking down because you were actually doing it. If you want to wheel out there on a stretcher or a gurney, whatever, we'll wheel you out there. But yeah, if you're on the sidelines watching like everyone else, you got to pay.
Yeah. Dave Grohl can do it.
Yeah, that's right.
That'd be funny. It's like, here's this Mars bar in payment.
Hey man, they've been broken since they started. Okay, you tell me everyone that spondylitis has been around a minute, and I'll tell you what, we got tired of listening to Motley Crue since well before this became a problem. So I'm just kidding. I like Motley Crue, but I mean, guys, like, what's the pressure? Let's just take a pause break.
Yeah, you had your moment.
Yeah, I don't go to Walmart or Kohl's and be like, oh, I really got to get my Cruise t-shirt today. Like, no one's pounding the door down, fellas. Let's calm down. Let's regroup. Let's handle this like men. We're all adults here.
Nikki Sixx would disagree. He tweeted, and you're gonna like this one. He said, "We've been propping up Mick for years." And we think we've done our job. So it's just, the cool thing is he did go on to say, like, we love Mick. Hopefully he finds some people around him who can just help him see clearly that we're not trying to leave him behind. It's just, I mean, they're like 10 years younger than him. So, they have a little bit more gas in the tank and nothing personal. So he's trying to keep it homey, but Mick is upset.
I have a solution. Here as we move into technology. Holograms. We are making a breakthrough into the hologram world. The National University of Singapore has been doing some work. A new method for producing dynamic, ultra high density 3D holographic projection has been developed by researchers. They describe their new approach called three-dimensional scattering assisted dynamic holography, 3D SDH.
What?
That's right. They show it can achieve a depth resolution more than 3 orders of magnitude greater than the state-of-the-art methods for multiplane holographic projection currently, which is it's a spatial light modulation. So I'm throwing a lot of words at you. We got your spatial light modulation coming at you here. It's a little clunky, it's a little thick, and we don't know if we can handle it right now. But we're going to come at you with the 3-dimensional scattering assisted dynamic holography, and that's going to get you down to about 0.95 millimeters. Now, to test the new method, the researchers first used simulations to show that it can be produce 3D reconstructions with much smaller depth interval between each plane. For example, with the new one, they were able to project 3D rocket model with 125 successive image planes at a depth interval of 0.96 millimeters, and the in 1,000 by 1,000 pixel hologram compared to a 32 image plane with a depth of 3.75 millimeters. So just take those numbers of, I mean, just 125 to 32. That's like 4 times of, more precise of clarity. And then when you're getting lines smaller that's another 4 times smaller. Like you're gonna the quality and clarity is just going to be through the roof, and we're not going to believe what's real, but they're going to be able to use this for like topography, cartography, image projection. We're going to get Mick out here on the stage.
I can just picture it there. It's like they're like, oh, you're interested in our services? Okay, we're going to need like 3 metric tons of mist to be pumped into your front office, and then it'll be great. It's just perpetually misty in your reception area, and we're golden.
Get the juice.
We're really popular on foggy lake beds. We're always out there in the morning, but if it hits 7:30 and the sun comes out, that's really our limit. Yeah. I mean, hey, dude, I'm all for this. If we can get like a precision DJ worldwide in here, then then he'll be good. The only problem is pressing the buttons, but we can probably wire that in.
Yeah.
You went like topography. I'm thinking like attractive people, beautiful men and women in clubs just walking up to patrons just like, how you doing? And you're like feeling good about yourself in this club. You're like, I always go to that club because people are hitting on me, and it's just a bunch of holograms.
Yeah, Blade Runner can become real out there. I'm with you. Me and Luke will be at that club.
Yeah.
So I'll switch it over. I'm going to switch gears, and then we're going to switch it right back, I'm sure. But I want to go over to nature. I want to go something a little more real, something tangible. But a rare hooded seal pup was born on the coast of the Netherlands last week. The big deal about this is they had to relocate the seal because seals are not native to this area. They're typically born in more northern Arctic regions where they follow the ice flows or the hard ice pack. That's typically where they're born. But one of the big things about this was they had to relocate the seal to stop like human intervening with it. People are worried about humans coming and harvesting seals for their coats, to make coats out on their hats, whatever. And actually I don't know what you call the Netherlands military, but those are the guys who stepped in and did it. But a rescue team had to come in and move the seal after the mother had basically abandoned it on this beach side. But these pups are typically 1 meter long, which with conversion we know is less than 7 feet by a little bit. But that's one of those big things. They said this is an indicator of like the oceans getting warmer, the ice packs melting, and these are this is a small incident and a larger incident to come. But this it was a rare sight to be seen.
The Netherlands Special Forces, I guess, is called the Corps Commandotroppen. Just like I could picture them. All right, men, we have a mission of great importance. Here is our target. It slaps like the little like white fur ball on the chalkboard. We must apprehend the suspect. Everyone in there is just like trying to hold it together, just stone-faced. All right, let's go. Roll out.
They had their debrief, and it was Seal singing, "There used to be a great hooded seal alone on the sea. You became..." And they all sent out the whole...
Just all kiss from a rope.
The aerial footage is of the like U-boat, those little boats, like the Kodiaks, just like floating out there like along the water.
This is a Pixar movie, Disney movie.
Here we go. Based on true story. Pitching it next week. Just one other thing I could tie this in with nature. There have been photos floating around Tesla of dogs and of nature and of cool stuff and funny signs out in parks. But it's not technically legal that this is happening. A man in Southern California is starting up a class action lawsuit against Tesla after rumors sprung up of Tesla's employees dispensing and commenting on videos and images taken from the vehicle backing cams and front hood cams. This is crazy. You know, Meme Gene, a lot of these images are on Meme Gene are coming from Tesla. One insider said that there was a plethora of memes generated from dogs and funny signs that people would just distribute internally at Tesla because it was funny. And some of the images are geotagged, so you can actually, like, the employees could find out where owners of Teslas actually lived and where they took the pictures. It was crazy. And another person said that at Tesla, there have been photos or videos of naked people in their homes, in their yards. Serious accidents have been recorded, which could be like a legal liability. There was one apparently of a Tesla hitting a kid on a bike in a suburban neighborhood. And there's funny laundry habits and other intimate images that have been made fun of essentially by Tesla employees. And I even found this out, that back when they originally launched these models, that Tesla could actually record and capture images even when the car was off. So this is just crazy, man. I mean, sometimes I think about maybe I should just watch where I put my phone or how I angle it in my house or whatever, but I'm like, it's over. Like they got a spy camera and the paint that I put on my wall.
They're watching. It's like you got to worry about your webcam, but no, you got to worry about your car now. They got the side view cameras, they got the rear view cameras. And Teslas, if you walk by them, it's like a top down view, like from the inside. You can see all around your car. And I think this is thinking way back. Elon even said Tesla's not an electric vehicle company. It's a data acquisition or like grabbing data basically company. So I think I'm going to need access to some of these photos. Just so we all know. I think it should be public knowledge. If why are they privy? So we all need to be hip.
Oh my goodness. I was a mechanic for a zesty minute in my life, and I never had to worry about a carburetor telling my secrets. You know what I mean? I never had tires that were snitching on me, dude. I mean, this is it. I know it's not a new thing. We all carry around phones in our pockets. Everyone had their Amazon Echoes, which I guess are going away, which we've talked about. But everyone had the smart house going on. But the fact that you can... Well, actually, you know what? Let's switch gears. I'm not stunned by this. Why are people naked in front of their cars in the driveway?
Yeah, where are you parking?
And who buys Teslas? Who buys Teslas? Californians and suburban people.
Yeah.
What are you doing in the middle of the burbs in the nude? What's happening?
I'm sure we could come up with plenty of scenarios with that, but I just picture like being the coolest dad in the world where your son just comes home and you're like looking at your newspaper, you're like, did you use protection? You know, because you just caught all this video of them inside the car making out at the drive-in, and you're like watching on your iPad and you're like, ah, man, struck out again.
Are you liable at that point?
I don't know, but that does cover some gray area. But guys, you know, there is a technology company out there that does not take your data. It's purely a service. It's just purely an invention that's all for you. And it just solves so many problems. Because are you sick and tired of not having a place to put your inkwell in public? Do you have anxiety because you don't have an in shelf and an out shelf to place your papers when you're on a vacation? Do you need something to just take a nice little lean on when you're waiting in line at the movies? Then you will love DeskBot. DeskBot is the latest tech in AI coupled with a robotic system that would make Elon Musk envious. Haha, there it is. As long as it's got a backing camera, Elon loves it. DeskBot is a desk on legs that follows you around and caters to any office-like urges you may have in public. DeskBot comes with features like Translate, only available in Norwegian and Finnish, you know, the commandos right there. Password-protected file drawers, so long as your password is fishy209. I'm Alma 6 or 1234. And I'm a llama. That's what that was. And Shoe Shiner, currently only servicing blue suede shoes. If you need a little buddy like DeskBot in your public life, call our hotline and open with "I like to bot" for 42.5% discounts. This is not an actual product or service idea. Just in case you thought it was, it's not. If there's something out there with the same name, we are unaware and offer no affiliation, offer no judgment on the actual product, service, or idea.
Well, good thing we wrapped up the rest of our news because it's clickbait headline time here at the Weekly Chaos. Gentlemen, I want to know what you think. A Easter egg hunt requires crowd control.
That's gravy. I heard this one before. So it was in California. There was a Easter egg hunt. You know, they had everyone come in, and then there was this 45-year-old guy who identified as a 6-year-old, and he came in and he was just stealing all the eggs, and you know, hard shoulders, checking people into the trees, and taking all the eggs from all the kids and stuff, and so they had to call the cops on him.
Yeah, my guess is similar, except it's not one guy. It was just like a whole family. So there's this Presbyterian church in like Atlanta, and they decided to have an Easter egg hunt for everybody. And the pastor gets up and he's like, welcome to the annual Easter egg. It's a big congregation. Welcome, everybody. Just want to let you know this year we're only doing gold coins, but just something you should know. There are 10 coins out here that are actually real gold. And it was mayhem from there. Kids were getting pummeled and things were just going off the rails. So that's my guess.
Oh, my goodness. You guys are pretty spot on, minus the locations. Atlanta, no. California, no. It's right here in Ohio.
Yes.
Another thing for us to be proud of. At a Dayton area mall, the Green Town Center in Beaver Creek, they were hosting their second annual Easter egg hunt for children.
Yeah.
They broke it up into brackets. 1 and 2-year-olds had an area to go first, and the 3 and 4-year-olds had an area to go first. The organizers set out 2,000 eggs, and still some kids went home empty-handed. Why? Why?
Losers.
Because parents were out there running around grabbing eggs either for the kid or some were for themselves. Some rogue adults were found in this Easter egg hunt snatching up eggs and treats for the kids, ruining it for everyone. They say they actually put out a public apology online saying we were unable to control the crowd. And I think it's since been deleted because, thank God, hopefully they came to their senses and realized the adults should be taking care of themselves here. So
I always say kids are the worst kind of people, but no, parents of stupid kids are the worst kind of people. They ruin it for everyone. And
They're
I'm
pulling
sorry.
double duty at that point. They are assholes and they are creating little assholes. So they're like, they're doubling down. They're doubling down.
yeah, and apparently they announced recently that they just announced that they will not be holding an Easter egg hunt next year. Instead, it will be turned into a raffle where only kids can have tickets and everyone will get a chance to win.
They're working on the rules.
Don't be a hero, mate. You look after your mates, and your mates will always look after you. Yeah, cheers.
Yeah, cheers indeed. It's time for our Aussie news segment. We do it every show where we go checking in the land down under and find a great piece of news for you. This one, I call it Paddle for Your Life. The actual headline is Man Found Paddling in Circles on Lake George in Boat with Sail Made from Bedsheet and Broomstick. When you open up the article, the photo is fantastic because it's just a guy with his arms like outstretched in the middle of this lake with what looks like to be a bed sheet and a broomstick, and he's holding his paddle and maybe perhaps the broomstick, but he's wearing like a top hat and has like what looks like a suit coat, and I just could picture him just like. People heard somebody shouting for help, but what I really think he was saying out there in the middle of the night was, come sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me, lads. And I just think this guy was just having the time of his life. No, but in reality, what sounded like happened, he actually went out earlier in the day, during the daytime, and then just got stranded in the middle of this giant lake. It got to nighttime. He couldn't paddle back out after some gusty winds took his broomstick sail and did what it was supposed to do and pulled him into the middle of the lake. And then he just was stuck out there and kind of lost because apparently in the article, he didn't know which way was closest, which bank was closest to him until people heard him shouting and pulled their like cars up to the edge of the lake and he saw the lights and was able to like pull towards the like closest cars. Man, this story is hilarious, but this guy, I mean, if those people hadn't been camping and listening to just, you know, crickets, chirp, 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 the frogs, come sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me, lads.
He just seems like a well-dressed man looking like that got lost out on the lake.
Just that pose of him just like, this is what he looks like. He just looks like this. Oh, man.
It's like when you're lost in a forest, you only get lost halfway. At some point, you just got to pick a direction and go.
Australians are our redneck cousins across the pond, and I'm so proud of this man. I hope he does it again. I hope he perfects his idea. Just take a cooler with you next time, and I hope he's such a rest. And you can be singing, "Come sail away," while drinking your Fosters, boy. Get it.
I mean, that just goes to show you that in life, you can have a great day and get lost in your own thoughts and singing your own songs and dancing to the beat of your own drum, because someone out there is going to judge you based on what they want to judge you based on their parameters. It's just the way life is at some point, and you don't have to agree with how they judge you, because it's really eventually we're all going to be holograms, and we're all just going to be laying in our cryogenic chambers and talking to each other, talking about Luka Doncic and John Elway and Mick from Motley Crue, all that good stuff. And we're going to get to watch it first person right on our Tesla cameras. It's that simple, because when Quinnipiac is playing in the playoff tournament, it's an amazing time you get to watch the best of the best, the cream of the crop. The smokes are immersive and adaptive to the environment, and you can just see the smoke show happening each week while people are slinging discs, because you don't want to hit any Seal Pups while you're out there. And really, what it comes down to is parents just have to be stopped. No, they don't have to be. They need to stop being assholes. That's right. I'm looking at you out there. All you assholes out there, you're making more assholes. And what those assholes are going to do in, 15 to 20 years, they're going to make more assholes. And it's all because you were an asshole. Maybe your parents were assholes, and it's just a vicious cycle. But someone has to stop it. And it's not going to be your stupid kid. It has to be you. You have to realize, even though you're 30 or 40 years old at this point, you're an asshole. So stop it.
All right, that was a blazer of a show. Had a lot of fun with you guys. It was a good one. I just want to thank Mr. DJ Worldwide for keeping it real today on the board. It was a good show and nice articles. I like the Seal Pup.
Hey guys, thanks for keeping me up to date these days. Appreciate you.
And that's it for this episode of the Weekly Chaos. We really appreciate you guys hanging out with us, and we hope to see you again soon on other shows, other segments, other shorts. And I want to just hand it over to my amazing co-host. I don't think I'm enough for being on this journey with me. This long and illustrious journey up in the sky, up in the airwaves.
Flying high. I didn't know if you're going to keep on going. Just pumping up the ego. No, it's high sky. Thank you guys once again. If you don't already download your audio platform podcast episodes, please do. That helps us so much. Leave a review too. Thank you guys so much, everyone that's been commenting, giving us suggestions. We all thank you guys once again. And like we always say, come sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me,
Lads.
Have a good one.
That was the Weekly Chaos, brought to you by the Velocity Chaos Podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in and getting your weekly dose of news updates. Make sure to check us out on all your favorite social media platforms at Velocity Chaos Pod and podcast at velocitychaos.com. As always, we appreciate your support. Please tell a friend, and thank you once again.